Blessings be with you this day. I'm Robert Stutes, Associate Pastor here at South Roanoke United Methodist Church. And today I was thinking about a church I heard of years ago in Kansas that did things a little differently than most United Methodist churches. To be a member of that church, every year in January, they would ask everyone, do you want to join again for another year? Now that would come across rather strange to most of us dyed-in-the-wool United Methodists who've been doing things the way we've been doing them for, who knows how long. But this particular church, they believed that every now and then you needed to stop and ask, is it still true? What you said when you joined that church, those vows of affirmation, are you really willing to live that out for another year? Honestly, as I've thought about it across the years, I've realized our churches would probably have less members if we did that. Many of us, maybe if you're like me, joined the church at a very young age. Either were baptized or renewed your baptism in confirmation or your first profession of faith. That connected you as a full and vital part of a United Methodist Church family. But our lives have changed a whole lot since then. If you've been part of a church for a long, long time, you probably see yourself in a very different place than you did when you first made that faith commitment. I don't think I'm ready to say that's the best idea to have to renew your membership every year, but it's something worth thinking about, not just every year, but often, every time that we take communion or every time that we see someone else who is baptized or makes a profession of faith or the membership vows of commitment, it's a good time to ask, what do I still believe? For our midweek boost, I'd like to spend a few weeks thinking about those 5 important things that are a part of our membership vows: prayers, presence, gifts, service, and witness. And today, we'll begin with the first of those, that we agree to faithfully participate in the ministries of the church family through our prayers. And there's a little short video clip from Reverend Adam Hamilton, pastor of one of the largest churches in the United Methodist Church, who addresses the question of thinking, what does it mean to pray?
All right, so what's the primary point of praying then? I've had people ask me this, like if God isn't gonna, if God already knows everything, and God knows what I need before I speak it, which is what we find in the New Testament, and if God, isn't needing my advice on how to run the universe, and God already wants to do everything that's good, then why am I praying? What is the point of my praying? So let's think about that for a minute. Some years ago, I asked people on Facebook about their experience with prayer. A man named Jim wrote on the Facebook page, maybe thinking of prayer as something that needs to be answered is asking the wrong question. Maybe prayer is something like entering into a relationship or yielding our lives to God. Maybe it's less a transaction and more of an investment or even a communion. And I think Jim's right. I want you to imagine a relationship, any relationship with you have, with your parents, if you're married, with a spouse, with your kids, with your best friend, and just imagine that the entire relationship was built on that person asking you for stuff all the time. It was never, how are you? Or I care about you, or let's just talk, or how's life? It was always, could you please help me out in this situation? Can you please give me something here? What kind of relationship would that be? And yet for many of us, that's what our relationship in prayer looks like with God. It's constantly transactional. It's always asking for something. And is that really how prayer works? And I think about others who have prayed. There was a woman who said to me on my Facebook page, Ann is her name, she said, prayer too often has become our way of instructing God on how to run the world. To me, it's simply conversation with God. And then she wanted to offer a great analogy. She suggested that prayer might be like what we experienced when we were children and we skinned a knee and we climbed into our parents' lap and they held us tight until we stopped crying. They didn't take away the skinned knee. They couldn't do that. What they did do is they let us know that we were safe in their arms and they were going to walk with us in the middle of our pain. Maybe prayer is more like that.
So what I take away from this is think of prayer more as a conversation or a relationship or an act of worship, not like driving through the drive-thru at a fast food restaurant and turning over your wish list. The good news is we can turn anything over to God and God will listen. But growing in maturity in prayer is so important. Many times I still feel like a kindergartner in terms of prayer relationship. I tend to be a very practical person where I will just up and do something, and way too often I fail to get in touch with the divine before I begin my efforts. The last thing I want you to remember about this is to think about prayer as part of our membership vows. Too often we think of prayer simply as part of our personal spiritual growth, but prayer is something that binds us together with the ministry of the church. I dare say if 10 of us agreed to pray a few minutes every day for our church to be able to more faithfully reach out to folks who are struggling in life. If every morning, even just 10 of us did that, if we did that for a month, I believe there'd be fruit. We would be participating in the ministries of the church through our prayers. If you prayed every Sunday morning for the worship service before you showed up, if 10 or 20 or 50 people did that, I believe worship would be different. There is power in prayer. There's power in shared prayer, and there's power in prayer as part of faithfully participating in the ministries of our church. We'll try to go through all 5 of those. So next week, I think we'll be thinking together about presence, which is Presence, just showing up. There's power in just showing up. I pray that you'll be renewed as you think about, am I willing to continue in the vows that I made to be a faithful participant in the ministries of this congregation through my prayers?